Let's turn to Josh Lederman now, Associated Press White House reporter. How's this all playing at the White House?
Well, the White House, Shep, is pretty gleeful about this, to be honest. They're seeing this as, quite the endorsement of the speech that Michelle Obama gave almost 8 years ago. The White House has been really careful, though, not to comment on the actual plagiarism charge. The first rule in politics is when your opponent is driving off a cliff, you don't want to get in their way. So they're really reluctant to give the Trump campaign an excuse to say, oh, this is Democrats trying to make hay out of nothing. We've already seen the Trump campaign try to blame Hillary Clinton and say that because Hillary Clinton attacks women, that somehow led to this. So you see both the Clinton campaign, Democrats more generally, and the White House trying to say, yes, Michelle Obama gave a great speech, but not really weighing in on the specific charge of plagiarism.
Sean Spicer's going to be on with us in just a few minutes, and of course I'm going to ask him about this. Yesterday was a series of things that we, except for the plagiarism part, series of things that we'd been sort of teed up that they were coming. This roll call, the call for a roll call and the voice vote, that's a repeat of 4 years ago and a repeat of the Democratic convention. That seems to be becoming kind of a pattern, but yesterday it really blew up.
It certainly did. It was an unseemly moment, not the show of unity that Republicans wanted heading into the general election. That said, one of the things about this campaign is as soon as you think something blows up, 5 minutes later something even crazier happens and you move on. So even though there was this ruckus during the afternoon, by the evening people were focusing on Melania Trump's speech. First, a really great reaction to it, and then, of course, the concerns about plagiarism, and now it seems like everybody's focused on that.
And there's a lot of finger-pointing going on, but it was she who said a few hours before the speech in a taped interview with Matt Lauer of the Today Show, it was she who said, I wrote the speech with as little help as possible.
Right.
Those are her words.
That's right. And what an unforced error, because nobody would have expected Melania Trump to have written the speech start to finish herself.
Nobody. I wouldn't have.
She's not an experienced public speaker. She's not speaking in her first language.
Are for.
Exactly, and it's pretty typical. That said, campaigns want to show that people are personally involved, especially the spouse, and she did say she got a little help, but mostly wrote it on her own. And then, of course, less than 12 hours later, this statement from the Trump campaign saying there was a team of writers that, took fragments to try and explain her thoughts. So a lot of confusion exactly about what role she had in that speech.
It seems like it's kind of a mess in that if they say, well, somebody else wrote it, then she's not telling the truth. And if she's telling the truth, then she's, they're between a rock and a hard place on this one. And you wonder if at some point it's going to become fodder for this campaign. It seems like the kind of thing that the campaign's going to have to answer in some definitive way, right?
Well, you never know. I wouldn't try and follow the logic too much of what they're saying, because it doesn't really seem to pan out. We've seen all kinds of responses from the Trump campaign today, none of them actually explaining how these words got it in the speech or even acknowledging that these were Michelle Obama's words that were in her speech. So I think the Trump campaign is assuming that with their supporters firmly on their side, they're going to overlook this and that they'll be able to move on quickly to other parts of the convention and not get too much flack in the long term.
Got a lot coming tonight. Josh Lederman from Associated Press from the White House. Thank you.
Thanks, Shep.
Nice to see you.